Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. How's everyone doing this week? Here we are. New week, same problems. How are we all doing? I'm buttoning up my jacket here. House coat here. It's a little cold. Might be summer, but it's San Francisco, so you know it's 60 degrees out at best. And gray and cloudy. Oh no, I buttoned up the jacket with the cable inside. Oh well. Alright, how's everyone doing? Hey, Rihanna Journey. Seems like Pretzel Rocks doesn't want to post into our chat today what we're listening to, but that's okay. If anyone's curious, just ask. Normally, it's an automatic post. All right. We are underway through our to-do list here. I did some work yesterday, not very much. I was very inefficient yesterday. I did some work on finishing the block cutaway or auto tiled outlines. I made a new quote unquote. I expanded our tile atlas to be able to handle half block tiles. We still need to set it up, so we'll probably do that a little later, and then hopefully we're done with this and we can stack something else in our in progress column. How was Void War over the weekend? It was fun. It was fun. We won. We almost lost like 20 minutes into the run. Really early. But we came back and we won on Torment 1, which is like the higher difficulty. That's fun. It was fun. I don't know if we're going to do it this weekend, but we're going to keep doing it. I already know what kind of ship. We forced a build last time, and that was cool. So I already think I know what build we want to force next. So we'll probably do it again. Maybe we'll do it like every other weekend or something like that. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm in danger of burning myself out on that game because I really don't feel compelled to play it on my own. So I think it's something fun to do every once in a while because I keep noticing little things about it. But I don't know. We'll see. This week is a holiday week. Friday is a holiday here in the United States. It's our nation's birthday. We're getting old. We're definitely in the midst of our midlife crisis. Yeah. So we'll still stream, but I think it's going to be all game dev this week. How long will we live? You know, that's an open question. I wanted to start with something a little different. Oh, there's Pretzel Rocks. The dogs and you are going to hole up inside and try to avoid the loud noises. I know. Yesterday it already began here. Yesterday already began for the fireworks. It's going to be crazy. I don't live in a neighborhood that's particularly loud, but I have friends that do, and they're just like, it's horrible. I'm very lucky. I live in a neighborhood that like property values have just skyrocketed, but I've been here for like 15 years. So I got in before it was cool, you know? So yeah, it's not very loud here, but I'm sure it will be pretty much everywhere. All right. I'm going to switch the radio. That's chill. Rihanna Journey, you've had some gun-related violence in your neighborhood a month or so ago, so it's kind of nerve-wracking until you realize it's the fireworks. Yeah, it is. It can be unclear sometimes. That's fair. You just have to remember that most loud noises are not explosions. They're scooters backfiring. All right, so what are we going to do today? I said we're not going to start straight off with game dev, and that's true in a way. We are going to... Oh, it's amazing. We're going to dive in. So our last episode on Friday was Digital Iliad episode 204. Pretty popular, one of my more liked videos, 6 likes, that's pretty good for me. 169 views, this is pretty good for us. So we're pleased with this when this happens. But what we got, and I've already talked to this person a little bit because they showed up to our Void War stream, but we got this really nice, really long comment. Kind of about us, about game dev on YouTube, about all this stuff. So I'm going to zoom in here. Oh, too far. Such that I can read it and so can everyone else. Yeah, I think 200 is good. This seems good. All right, so we're going to just read this. I'm going to read this beginning to end, and then we'll go back and we'll talk about it because I think it's really interesting. I want to start out by saying this was written with love. I talked to this person afterwards. I think they come on a little strong, but I think that's what happens in the internet if you're commenting. I don't think there's room for nuance or subtlety or anything like that. But what's really important, I think, is just listening for understanding and assuming the best intent until you have definitive proof otherwise. So I want to say that I agree with this person almost entirely in the abstract. Like, I think if you were a brand new dev and you were thinking, like, how should I approach game dev in 2025? And how should I approach game dev content creation, like YouTube stuff, in 2025? I think that in both of these categories, there's a lot of truth in this write-up. We'll call it a write-up. Or maybe it's a criticism is what it is. It's like a critique. But yeah, I wanted to go through this, and I wanted to talk about it. I want to talk about what stuff in this maybe we can roll into our process. I thought it was just more of an opportunity to be more explicit about what we are trying to do and how we think the channel is growing and how we think the game is growing and like where we see ourselves in like a few years and stuff. I just thought it'd be a fun way to start the week. I thought it would be a cool thing to check out. I'm sure this isn't like the best content, but I thought it would be a cool thing to do. All right, preamble over. I'm going to read this out in its entirety without comment. Okay? So that's my voice. No one clip this and misuse this. Rhiannon Journey. I'm getting canceled. Yeah, I am. This is the cancellation letter. It's always good to hear views that challenge your own and reflect on them and take the good, leave the bad. Yeah, I think you should entertain it all. What is it? It's important to be able to entertain ideas without either adopting them or dismissing them. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to kind of sit in this critique for a minute. And Business Wolf 1 is nice. They're a nice person. I talked to them during the Void War stream. They know this is coming. This isn't like a hit piece. I'm not going to be attacking them. Even if I disagree with them, it's going to be more about why some of this stuff might not work for us personally, right? Why we might be doing something different, which is admittedly bad and suboptimal. Everything that I've ever done has been suboptimal. And I don't think we're changing that anytime soon. Hey, Nix. How's it going? We're about to read through a critique I got. This very thoughtful, well-written critique that I got on my last video, episode 204. And so, no judgment. We're going to go through all this. I think it's cool. Terrible. It's going terrible? I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, there's some interesting stats in this that I didn't think about, which are a little alarming to me. It's like 1,000 degrees. Oh, no. Yeah, summer, full-on summer for you. Let me see what the weather is for me right now. It's 55 degrees Fahrenheit. right here, which is very low. Not very low, but it's like, summer low. We're chilling, literally. All right. Again, best intentions are being assumed here. No personal attacks. You want to just listen to this opinion. Think about it, and then respond. All right. I've already read this once, but it was on Friday, so I don't remember what most of this says. I just remember that I thought it was good and that we should talk about it. All right. Now I'm going to be Business Wolf. I'm assuming the persona of Business Wolf. The following has been written with love. I do not want to see another dev forced to quit their project. I think you're taking a seriously wrong approach with this. You've started one mechanic and dived extremely deep on it and polished it massively, and you have nothing else in the game. Approximately 408 hours, assuming 2 hours per episode, which is not far off. That's 10 full-time work weeks. This is a mistake that artists make. The art process should ideally start with a simplified composition of the entire scene, and then going up in detail per stage of illustration. Beginner artists will instead start drawing ahead with details, then the body, then it will have wrong proportions, so they will have to redo it. And then they're too exhausted to make a background. And then they realize the pose is stiff and boring or just unnatural. And if they fix all of that, then the lighting and colors are wrong. Because they worked backwards and drilled down on one thing and expanded outwards at the same level of detail, since having so little on the page makes the rest look wrong, if not to the same level as their starting point. The correct approach is to start high level and make placeholders for everything, which you refine on a need-to basis. This means that after 2.5 months of work, you have a project that will impress anyone coming across it, and will be more complete. And you save yourself tons of time working on features you may cut later or don't need to be so polished. And the most important part, you get a real taste of what the entire development is going to be like, so you can quit early if it's a workflow you don't like. In other words, fail fast and break things. This is a cool tech demo right now. Also, your videos won't get more views unless you change your approach. Currently, the value proposition here is you get to watch the 204th episode for 2 hours of a developer polishing features for his game, which has also happened the last 203 episodes. There's no difference between episode 83 and 166 in terms of interest or milestones set and achieved or style of the game. That may or may not be true. The thumbnails feature the same graphic and a number to distinguish it from the other 203 videos. They are also literally gray with 0 color. He's talking about this. Our title card, which is also our thumbnail, which is also our logo, which is the spear and the shield, forming a kind of subtle DI. All right, so we got that's the summary. Now we've got some itemized bullet points. Okay, so what do the indie devs who have insanely popular videos do differently? Why do they get hundreds of supporters on Patreon? 1. They set goals at the beginning of videos and in thumbnails and titles, and when it's done, they make shorts or videos showcasing the progress, again, with titles and thumbnails creating interest for the new features or at least presenting them. 2. They don't build and fully polish for each features from the start, especially since they may be cut later. A simpler but more complete game will always do better than a set of fully polished features with no game around them. This is also true for art. This helps your thumbnails, your narrative around development, and even your release, and can get rid of lots of wasted effort. 3. They release much fewer videos, but much more packed with content and new features, which are not complete, but they get the viewer that much closer to the final vision of the developer. 4. The length of their videos is much more watchable in full, at 11 to 18 minutes on average, helping your growth as a channel through analytics. In fact, some devs even postpone showing the development of some features until later videos, or never, just to create mystery and intrigue and show dedication to the viewer. 5. They present the project as if either a developer or a gamer could be watching, so showing both smart stuff and cool stuff. I hope some of these things can help you grow as a channel and motivate you more towards accomplishing your goals. We hearted this because this was thoughtful, this was sweet, this was generally not very aggressive, except for maybe the initial, I think you're taking a seriously wrong approach with this. But even that was not like, give up, go home, you're never going to finish this game, which is honestly what people in person typically say to me. Nix. All right. I'm not judging this yet. We're gonna go into this. I want to say what Nix has to say. Nix. I'm not sure what's up with the guy, but if he doesn't want to watch me, c'est moi. If he doesn't want to watch me, he doesn't need to. He's not forced to watch. No need to be an a-hole about it. I don't think he's being an a-hole about it. He's not entitled to me entertaining him. Not to mention people don't work all the same way. Some people can only spend a couple of hours a day at their hobby. I think everything he said so far is fine and is actually correct in the abstract. I think if you sat down and was like, I want to make games and I want to do it publicly and I want to do it on YouTube, I think everything he said is super correct. You fail fast. You prototype and prototype and prototype until you hit something you like. You make shorts. You make little edited videos with like clickbaity titles and like very interesting thumbnails. You postpone showing things that aren't ready, I guess. I don't know. We'll get into the line by line thing. I don't want to get into that part yet. The part of this that was interesting, the one maybe nitpick I have about there's like a conversion. There's a mathematical conversion here happening that is misleading, which is approximately 408 hours, assuming 2 hours per episode. So they took our episode count, 204, and multiplied it by 2 hours, which is actually pretty correct. We probably average 2.5, maybe like 2, because we want to do 3, but a lot of times and historically we've only done 2 hours per stream. So somewhere in that range. So we probably put like 500 hours into this project live on stream, right? Which is like 10 full work weeks. Yeah. The only thing that I take like issue with that's misleading is this is 10 full-time work weeks, 40-hour work weeks, I guess, that we've put in over a year and a half, right? Because we started in February of 2024. So the only straight up issue I take is this means that after 2.5 months of work, you have a project that will impress anyone coming across it and it'll be more complete, blah, 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 blah. The after 2.5 months of work, that's not indicative of what we do, right? That's assuming full-time work, which, I have a day job. I do other stuff than this. I get 10 to 15 hours to stream game dev a week. I work on it on my own, maybe another 4 or 5. So we get to work maybe 15, 20 hours a week on this game at best. And we stream like 3/4 of it, maybe. Half, 3/4. Excuse me. All right. So that's maybe the only thing that if you take the total time I've spent and pack it into a full-time thing, I think we would have worked on this game very differently. And I think we could have taken this much more, I would call it a horizontal approach where we're building out everything. We're going wide and we're like implementing basic versions of every system, rather than the verticality that we're doing where we're like, we've drilled super deep into one tool, which I say is not a feature, it's a tool. All right. Rhiannon Journey. I think it all depends on the context of who is making what and why. You're considering streaming your development purely for some sort of accountability, but not really caring if you get viewers or not. I think that's a good reason. I think that's a good reason to do it. Because you could also just stream to Twitch. Like, nobody's making me multi-stream to YouTube and stuff. And I have not ever put an edited video onto YouTube. It's just straight off the dome, It's just the raw live stream being recorded. Nix, right? Failing soon and prototyping is good. He's complaining about the lack of titles, the thumbnails, how I only do the same thing for 200 episodes. Like, he's fetishizing game dev. I do think there's an interesting point there about how different game dev is when you present it. If you present it like a lot of people watch Randy, and Randy's probably the king of like YouTube game dev, in my opinion. So is maybe Watt, the Goblin game dev. Obviously Thomas Brush is big, but he mostly does like interviews. But like if you watch Randy is live streaming game dev like 8 hours a day and then puts out like a 20-minute edited video every couple of months, something like that. DevDuck does that part but doesn't live stream any of it. Like there's a lot of different approaches you could take. I think yeah, let's jump to the video part. Let's not talk about my approach to game dev exactly. Let's talk about why we present ourselves a certain way on YouTube, which is like super gray, no thumbnails. I think I admit that this is bad. This is like strictly bad to just have every thumbnail be my icon with some text to distinguish it. I'm doing it kind of as a rejection of like this super edited thumbnail stuff that you can kind of see above me in my recommended videos. Like, I'd like if at a glance you see one of these and you're like, that's a Digital Iliad video. Like, I just know it's a Digital Iliad video. And if you know that, and if that's the kind of thing you're into, maybe you click on it. But obviously that's bad because that only works for people who already know what I'm doing. Same thing with like the title. They're all making an FTL-like in Godot episode X, right? That's also bad because it's not like I made a tile set editor in 30 days and so can you. Like, or like, here's how I would do game dev if I started from scratch. Or like, I could probably pick like interesting episode titles. I could do that. But that's all kind of around the whole, we don't put out edited videos yet. We only put out live streams. I would love to do edited videos. I wish I had time, and I wish I had the content that was maybe appropriate for edited videos. I think maybe when we finish the tile editor and we have like a ship simulation going up, maybe I'll make an edited video being like, I made it so you could build ships or building ships at runtime or something like that. Oh, I got someone to ban here. Hold on a second. Got him. I think it's interesting. I don't have a problem with it. So edited videos. I would love to get to this point where I can do this stuff. Rhiannon Journey, edited videos and thumbnails and titles adds so much extra time or money to hire someone else to do. Yeah, that's kind of the problem for me. He is dead, Jim. That's what happens to spam bots here. I would love to get to that point. I think eventually we will have content that will warrant that. And I think then it will make sense. Like, I think once we've got the alpha MVP out and we've got like a build out and people can play it, I think and we've got a Steam page up, I think that's when we start doing edited videos. Because yeah, I think the common wisdom is that it takes, so however long the runtime of the video is, the edit time is like at least 10x that, probably more because I'm not experienced. So if I wanted to make a 1 hour video, that's at least 10 hours editing. Probably more for me because I'm not experienced at it, but I eventually will need to learn. Nix, I mean, that's fine. A 20-minute episode once a week, maybe. But you can't have like every other stream have like a super cool new feature added. Or like something high octane. You need chill as well. Especially how there's like a bunch of different genres out there, like a hodgepodge of programming and lo-fi beats to study to. And the like, not to mention the time it takes to create all of that content on top of everything else to do, especially as a solo dev with a job next to it. Okay, you're just angry due to how hot it is there. It's 95 degrees. Yeah, no. I would get agitated as well. I can't handle heat. I can handle cold a little bit, but heat I cannot handle. Because there's like nothing you can do to like improve your situation when it's that hot out, when it's like almost 100. Yeah, no. I think that is a goal for us, is to get to that point. I think we do need to bank some features and make edited content around those features eventually. I don't disagree with that. I just think I agree with you that like right now the vibe is like low effort. It's co-working. It's this chill, like I post 2 to 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and it's just a place to be. And you know, that keeps our numbers down here of like 6 likes and like less than 200 views. But You know, the funny thing is, I'm growing on YouTube a lot. Like, I'm growing on YouTube faster than Twitch. Like, my viewership on YouTube is much higher than on Twitch. So there is an appetite for this. Is it huge? No. But I think YouTube is trying pretty hard to get into the live streaming scene. I think they are doing it because they give me like a decent number of impressions. Do I make a good impression? Probably not. And then we get back to the thumbnail and everything. And like we could be doing more interesting stuff. But yeah, it is true. I just don't have the time for to really be a proper content creator on YouTube. I wish I did. I wish I didn't have a day job. Because that's always the warning I get from game devs when they hear that I do content stuff, that I do live stream. They're always like, "Oh, well, then you're just all your time is going to go into content, and you're not. When are you going to have time for dev?" And like that is a thing that happens to people. Some people make it work. Developer Ezra is really good. They're on YouTube, and they balance the two quite well. I think they do edited content, they do live stuff. They get a lot out of both. I think that's pretty cool. Um, So yeah, I think that's all I have to say around video editing. I do want to get to this point. And I think once we start hitting some of these milestones, oh, that's the other point. He is right. We haven't really had noticeable milestones. I presume I said he. I don't know that Blood Wolf, business wolf. I don't know why I said Blood Wolf. I don't know if Business Wolf one is a man, but I don't want to presume. They Business Wolf. Um, It's true. We haven't had a lot of milestones. We've only recently started developing roadmaps. Like I only built this roadmap after GDC. Where'd my music go? There we go. You can really tell that you're ranting when the background music cuts out on you. But yeah, we've only recently started getting these roadmaps of kind of where we see ourselves going. There we go. Um, And yeah, I think once we get this alpha MVP launch and I have this tile block editor and this shipboard simulation and I can show stuff off like that, I think that's the sort of thing that you make a 20-minute video out of. You make a bunch of shorts of. You have all these gifable moments, you know, that you can set up that way. I think when we get to that point, I think we definitely start to go harder on that. Even though we do have to pay the cost of, you know, writing and filming and editing and all that stuff. I think that will be the point. But I kind of like how that works because like my channel has been growing very slowly. Like very slowly. Like this is too much movement, like very slowly. Like I get like maybe 2 subscribers for each live stream. Yeah, on YouTube subscribers, not Twitch subscribers. That's something else. But it's okay with me. And the project has been growing really slowly too. So like in my mind, these two things have been growing really slowly over the last year and a half, but they've been growing together. They've been growing in tandem, right? Like the channel is getting a little bit more viewership as the project gets a little more developed. Like, and that's kind of worked for me for now. There will be a point where we want to accelerate that growth when the game is in a better spot. And I think that will be important to do. Rhiannon Journey. You agree? I'm in dev mode, and once I get to the point that I can tack on some content creation for the big futures, but for now, you don't think it makes sense to show that the tile editor used to have grid layers and now it doesn't? Yeah, because I'm rapidly iterating on this one big feature. Yeah, that's the other thing. So let's transition to talking about that, about why am I not doing like a horizontal dev cycle? Why am I not starting high level and making placeholders for everything? And then why am I not doing horizontal? Because people talk about vertical slices and they talk about horizontal slices. Horizontal slice is like every system in the game is implemented to some functional level, but none of it's very polished or finished. And then a vertical slice is like one part of the game, usually a moment, like Tim Kane calls it a beautiful corner. It's like one little view, one perspective or view into the game is just like perfect. It's like polished to the point of like you could like that's what you want it to look like when you release it, and like that's good too. And you probably need to do both to fill out, you know, the whole square of the game. You probably need a horizontal slice and a vertical slice, and then you fill in or whatever, right? We've been going very vertical we've spent almost all of our time working on a tool for development on our tile editor tool. We have not touched almost anything else except for some early prototyping we did on, how will pathfinding work? What is it like to like click stuff around? Like we've done some early prototypes. So Business Wolf talks about how risky my approach is, and that is true. Going hard into one thing without validating that thing works is very risky. And that is a gamble that we're taking because we are saying we have some assumptions about our game and about our development. Like, we're like, FTL is good, right? FTL is great. If we can make something like FTL, then, we should be in good shape. Obviously, just making a game like another game is not a recipe for success. But we've kind of stated assumptions, and we are kind of operating on these axioms. But that is a crutch. That's like a facade. That's something propping up this assumption that that this is going to work, that this thing we're trying to make is going to work out. And that is dangerous, and that is not how you should do game dev. You should do game dev fast. You should prototype. You should try to get to gameplay as quickly as possible. You should validate that the thing that you're trying to do will be fun, and then you should invest into it. That is strictly correct. Here's my very pragmatic justification for why I'm doing it this way, and it has to do with the fact that I am a solo dev. So when I move on from a piece of the project, like when we're done with the tile block editor, I want to be done with the tile block editor. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to just have a rough version of the tile block editor that has all these problems and all these incomplete features. And we're like, yeah, don't worry about that. We'll fix that later. We just need to move on to something else. Like, there's just too much for me to hold in my head when developing that way. Like, if you're doing a game jam, that's how you do game jam. You every single thing is the minimum viable product, and you scrap together all these basic stuff, and you have to develop the whole game in like a weekend or a couple weeks or whatever, right? Like, you have to develop that way if you have a tight turnaround time. But we have all the time in the world, and I'm the only person working on this. So if I can build a feature, finish it, and like put it to bed and be done with it, that is so much better for my task switching. You didn't miss anything, Nix. I'm still just justifying why I'm not doing any of the things this person suggested. But yeah, as a solo dev, you have to be it's a similar thing with like why we don't do edited videos. It's like I pay there's a task switching cost to doing multiple things, especially if you're doing them over a long period of time. And so for me, because this goes back to that nitpick of like 10 full-time work weeks, these didn't occur over 2.5 months. These occurred over a year and a half, right? And if I was juggling like 11 different things and I was working on them over a year and a half, each time I picked one up, I'd have to figure out how it works, why it works. I'd have to hold into my head all the limitations of the current implementation of each system. Rhiannon Journey. If I leave some corner case bugs in the editor to come back to in 2 to 3 years, it's going to be so hard to context switch into fixing it. That's true. That's true. There is a reason not to do all of this that I'm saying, and it's like, what if the requirements change? What if I get further in the project and I'm like, oh no, I want this game to work differently? We'll have to eat that. That'll happen. But part of the reason why I feel like we're somewhat protected against that is we're making tools, right? We're making tools right now, not game features. Like right now, there's just a tool for how to build a ship. Obviously, there's a lot of assumptions about what does a ship that's built look like. So there's features in it, like how many layers, how many decks does it have? Like, what are all the kinds of blocks in it? Like, obviously, the simulation is going to be very heavily, influenced by the editor. anything the editor doesn't allow you to do can't be in the simulation, right? Like, so they are tightly coupled. Oops. Here I go, trying to highlight things. So yeah, so my only defense for why I'm drilling so hard into something like this editor, which we've been working on for like at least the last 6 months, probably more like probably six months or so is right. Because I think during the last holidays, we were working on an entity component system. So like, I agree with Business Wolf that visually, there is not much of a difference between episode 83 and episode 166. But in episode 83, we didn't have an entity component system even. In episode 83, I'm pretty sure we were just starting to work on the entity component system. And in episode 166, we did have that entity component system. We had a lot of things. I don't think we had an auto tiler before then by much. So we had our auto tiler, we had our entity component system, we have all these things, but they are back-end things. If you just tuned in and looked at screenshots from both of those and I was showing the game, you would just see a gray box, right? But that's all it was there, is a gray box, right? You don't necessarily see that there's like an auto tiler and a cutaway system and an entity component system and all of this stuff behind the scenes, because they're just, you can't tell yet. Everything in my game is literally gray with 0 color right now. Like, that's kind of where we're at. Nix, that's what you saw the first time you joined. Yeah, and you're still here. So should we do these 5 things? Yes. Should we have more purposeful videos with thumbnails and titles? I actually don't know if I'm ever going to make a real thumbnail. I probably should once we start doing edited videos, but that would probably just be to help people pick them out from our live stream videos, which I think I like this kind of black and white text and icon structure for our live stream videos. And then our edited videos we can do, I can pose, I can make cute little poses, and I can like set a fire behind me, and I can do all these fun things. I can get Jerry, use little pictures of Jerry. I don't want to pick on any of these developers here whose thumbnails I'm using right now. Like Aramis puts out tons of videos, get 33,000 views on this one. Like, that's good stuff. I would love to get to that point. But yeah, that's a ways for us. A simpler but more complete game will always do better than a set of fully polished features with no game around them. I totally agree with this too. Jam games feel great. Even when I have a jam game that's kind of like a little bit of a piece of shit, it feels so much better because it's done. It's complete. It's a whole game. You can play it, right? Whereas like just messing around with the editor is whatever. That's not a game. That's just a pile of stuff. But there is something I think about strategy games that is really tricky. And it's that strategy games come together so late. And I've heard this from everyone that's ever worked on a strategy game. All the mechanics of a strategy game come together so late that it does feel, for most of the time you're working on the strategy game, it feels like you just have a pile of features. Like you don't have a complete game. Even when you're 90% of the way towards a complete game, until you have all of it working together, it's not a game. And that's kind of, I think that's maybe a genre issue more than anything else. Nix, you like the current one, the title card system. It's very minimalistic. The pixel font is pretty enjoyable. Reminds you of like an older black and white text-based adventure game. Yeah, to me it is kind of a rejection of like I like Acerola's thumbnail here. Terrain 101, just like an austere, like what I assume is like a voxel mountain or something that was generated by a shader. Like, I do enjoy this kind of more minimal setup, but it is a kind of a combination of an aesthetic that I like and to me it presents that what we're doing here, like this is a slow burn, right? This is a slow burn. We're not in a hurry. We're going to be working on this game for at least the next 5 or 6 years. And I say 5 or 6 years each year. Like I have not yet reduced that number. Even though I've worked on this game for over a year. I still say 5 or 6 because, yeah, I don't know. It's long. Releasing fewer videos. Yeah, I think you do have to treat live stream very separately than edited videos, but YouTube has been really kind to me. Like starting about 8 or 9 months ago, YouTube started showing people my live streams. And so I went from, 16 viewers to 160 viewers. And some videos have gotten in the mid to high hundreds. And is that anything in YouTube terms? No, that's nothing. That's less than nothing. That's a speck of dust in like a sunbeam or whatever. It's nothing. But we're growing. I can see the growth. Is it slow? Is it slower than it needs to be or than it could be? Yeah, for sure. And then stream times, 11 to 18 minutes. I do think I want to aim for that for our edited videos, but I really want to push up our live streams even longer. I want them to be 3 hours. Like, what was this one? This one was 3 hours and 20 minutes. That's like, quite good. I think I wanted to end it earlier, but we probably got rated. I think this is smart, targeting both end users or gamers and developers, but people always say like, oh, who's your audience? Your audience is game devs when you stream game dev. And it's like, yeah, that's true, but game devs play games. Like, I don't see the problem. A lot of people will say like, oh, well, who's your audience when you're streaming game dev? It's like, you're not marketing it, you're just hanging out with other game devs. And it's like, yeah, maybe. Nix, personally, you like the title card due to it being mostly black and darker gray so that your eyes don't burn out. Yeah, it's trying to communicate this is like low key, it's simple, it's old school. Oh well. I think that's about all of my thoughts with this. I want to emphasize, if Business Wolf is watching, I do still agree with everything that you said. There's aspects of my own personal context that makes it so it's either not the right time or we have reasons why we are doing it a certain way. And I acknowledge the shortcomings of those approaches. Like the way we're drilling hard and like finishing each feature before moving on to the next feature is very risky. But as a solo dev who's only working on this thing part-time over a long period of time, I'm not sure how I could do this any differently. I think if I was trying to make a game over 2.5 months, I would develop it very differently. Like if I was able to take the like 500, 400, 500 hours that we have put into this game, and I was able to do that in a sprint over like 3 months, I would probably treat it like a game jam. I would probably rush towards a finished game, and I would probably try to have something rough that worked, that gave us an indication of what to do. And would that game be strictly better than what we're currently making? Probably. But, unless I win the lottery tomorrow, I don't think I'm going to be able to put 400, 500 hours into the game in the next 2 to 3 months. Rhiannon Journey, you think overall that what Business Wolf is saying isn't wrong? It just presupposes a certain set of goals you may or may not share at this point in time. Yeah, I think it's all correct if you're trying to break into this very specific set. And the question is, are you in a position where you can pursue all of this? I would say that I'm not in a position where I can pursue all of this. Do we want to get to a point where we could in the future? Especially with the edited videos and stuff, I really do want to get to that point. I need to learn video editing software. I need to be more willing to film stuff outside of the live stream. I've tried to do this kind of stuff. Like I have a post-mortem from my first Ludum Dare that I wrote. I wrote the whole thing. I wrote the script. I think I even filmed some of it, but I just didn't do it because I was like, by the time I'm done with this, Ludum Dare is going to be like 6 months ago. No one's going to care about this game that didn't do well, even if it was my first game. And like, do I want to spend months working on this for this video that no one's going to give a shit about? I don't know. So yeah, I think I need I think I need something to show before I start doing the edited videos, but I do want to do it. I do agree that it's going to be like the when we get to the next level of viewership and subscribers and all that stuff. Um, but we need to have some stuff before we do that. On YouTube they talk about evergreen content. Live stream is not evergreen content. This is something people watch when it's posted and maybe the day or two after, maybe over a week. And then YouTube does not show anybody any of this after that, right? YouTube is not going to be pushing old live streams on people. You need evergreen content. But an evergreen content video, like a video about one of my game's features, needs a call to action at the end. And right now, there's not really much I can do except I'd say subscribe and stay tuned. So we really need that alpha MVP build that people can play for free on itch, even if it just consists of the editor tool and a basic ship to ship combat thing, like a little sandbox. And we need a Steam page because that first devlog, that first real edited devlog, that is going to be up on YouTube forever. People will continue to find it. More people will watch so-called devlog 0 than any devlog I ever put out after that, right? So our first real devlog needs to be, if not perfect, needs to really nail it and have a call to action, which is evergreen, which is check out our Steam page, wishlist the game. So I think our debut in the world of edited videos is going to need to be very, very purposeful. Hey, Fusionist. Nix, you think finishing one part and then the next seems logical? That's how you program as well. You work on one part of the website, then you go and work on another part, go back and fix mistakes, etc. You're not sure how someone can work alone on everything at once. That works if you're trying to create a scene, an image, block everything out, then work a little on everything so that you can see how it comes together. That's for images, not coding. I think that's the problem is games are multimedia. So you want to treat games as a science. You want to approach it like you would a programming project. But games are also art. So you need to approach it like you would a piece of art. And I think for one person to do that, I think it's very hard. Because you have to be the artist and you have to be the engineer. Rhiannon Journey, you're slowly going back and watching old live streams when you need a co-working vibe and no one is live. Aw, I appreciate that. I did put a playlist. There's a playlist of all of them. And some people do watch them. Which is pretty cool. Fusionist, what's up? Just saw a glimpse of a long comment. Rhiannon Journey, this has nothing to do with anything. You're able to resub with your Prime sub right now. Bezos must really not like you. Oh, you're not able to resub with your Prime sub right now. Oh, no. Don't worry about it, Rhiannon Journey. He's busy getting wed, says Fusionist. Yeah, Fusionist, there was a really nice, long, thoughtful comment on episode 204 on our last episode from Business Wolf. It's this really long thing about how you do game dev and how you do content creation in game dev. And it was kind of a critique of our approach, which, I would say is atypical of the common wisdom of how you should do game dev and content creation on Twitch and YouTube. And so we kind of just talked about what our goals are and what our situation is and our context for working on this stuff and why we're doing things differently. And that's fun. And we did that for the first hour. Do you have some takeaways from that? Yeah, we've been going through it all. Let's sum it up, which is I haven't decided if I want to have the comment on in the background as I'm summing it up or not. I probably do. So they show these five things. We talked about it a little bit. And I think the takeaway is I think we are going to need a very different approach to how we shoot and edit and present videos that we post to YouTube, purposeful content being posted to YouTube. Because right now we are just live streaming, right? That's all we're doing. And there's a very low ceiling on how much viewership and how much, how much interest we're going to get. from that. I think it's better than I expected, especially on YouTube. Like YouTube is definitely pushing live streaming content in a way that I don't think they have in years past. So my YouTube presence is already bigger than my Twitch presence, right? Which I think is crazy. And I think that's only gonna. I think the distance between the two is only gonna increase. Like just looking at kind of the curves, our YouTube presence is just growing, and it's growing faster than our Twitch presence. And I think that's interesting. Were you even doing edited videos? No, I'm not. I am not. So, but we will someday. We were talking about some of the reasons why we would. I think you came in right when we were talking about that, about how we want, when we start to do evergreen content like edited videos, we need a call to action. We need something very strong to show. And that's when we that's when we start to show finished features and, you know, put out real devlogs and stuff. And I was talking about how devlog 0 is like the most important devlog you ever put out as a YouTube game dev, right? Because people are going to come back to that over and over and over again. Everyone always wants to see how you start. I even noticed that with my live streams. Like my episode 0 for my live stream is the highest watched live stream that I have by miles. Like, it's more watched than the occasional like viral live stream that I put out that gets like 1,000 views. Fusionist, right? Devlogs and videos are surprisingly time consuming to make. Just fair warning. We were also talking about that. So like, I don't think I have the content that warrants that investment right now. Because I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure edited content, I'm pretty sure the amount of time it takes to edit is like 10 to 20x the runtime of the video. I think if you're a pro, you could probably get it down to like 10x, but I am not a pro. So I'm thinking like, do I want to spend 20 hours editing a 20-minute video, like writing it and filming it and editing it and all that stuff? But yeah, that's a fair estimate. Okay. Yeah, so I think we're gonna get there. I think we're not ready. And so a lot of this itemized thing is like how I should present my videos to like engage people the way like Aramis does, the way Dev Ezra or Watt or DevDuck or, you know, Thin Matrix, which is not someone you should compare yourself to. Your partner spends like 1 to 2 full days on her 20 to 30 minute videos. Yeah. I can't do it. I also don't have the skills to do it. So I'll have to get the skills. So that's another thing. And that's directed a lot of my effort in this game. There's always times where you're like, oh, should I do it this way or that way? And it's like there's a reason I'm writing the game in C#, right? When I probably should be writing it in C++, so I could take advantage of GD extension for all the actual systems programming and stuff. But like, I don't do it because I'd have to learn how to program in C++. And then this would stop being a thing I'm trying to make, and it would start being like just a vehicle for learning, which is cool. I think vehicles for learning are the best. But you just have to make choices based on what your capabilities are. Fusionist, when you're a channel that gets a lot of clips, you can make some compilations. Excuse me. We've got some direction on how to edit things down. Yeah, I can't wait till we have some stuff like gifable things like in the game, like battle scenes and like, you know, maybe time lapses of me building a ship or something like that. Like, ooh, that could be a cool thing to put in the tile map editor. Is like, we should be recording like the process of building something and save that out. I probably should write that down. That's a good idea. Yeah. And the other thing, so we talked about that, about the context of being a video creator. And then the other thing we talked about was like just more about content creation in general, not content creation, game dev in general, about should you go wide? Should you go deep? Should you make a horizontal slice or should you make a vertical slice? Like, this person was of the opinion that you should go horizontal first. You should prototype every single system and try them all together so that you have an idea of what the game is like as a complete sum. And I think that's really smart. I think that's really good. We talked about why I'm going to have a hard time doing that as a solo dev, working part-time on this, and why we tend to tunnel harder once we decide we want to implement a feature. Rhiannon Journey. If you're saving the undo redo actions, you could just replay those, right? I could, but I wasn't planning on saving those to disk. I was planning on keeping those around until the thing was saved and the file was closed. So like if you build a ship in multiple sittings, you wouldn't have that history. But now I'm thinking maybe there's at least like a toggle we could turn on that's like save history or something like that. Or maybe we save the history by default because it's probably negligible. Fusionist. Yeah, eventually just having some more active viewers and perhaps a clearer call to action will help. Like if people know the clipping is useful when you have an explanation, for instance. You'd have timestamps for, hey, maybe this can be a short or something. Yeah, I think that'll be interesting. I think that'll be a good way to dip my toes in it, to start putting up clips as shorts or something. That could be cool. Fusionist, they want you to gray box your game, basically. Make a playable bare minimum game before heading out to finalize it however you want. Yeah, the irony is we are already gray boxing the game, right? Like, because my game just consists of gray boxes. But that's the problem when you work on mostly back-end stuff and you don't work on a lot of front-end stuff, is it's really hard to tell when stuff is progressing. Like, you can't see an entity component system. You can't see, you know, all of this stuff happening in the back necessarily. All right, we're running into ads now. I think I'm gonna take this ad break to like reset. We talked about this for an hour, which I think is great. Business Wolf, if you're seeing this, again, I really appreciate the engagement. I appreciate the thought that went into this. This could easily have been you're doing this wrong, you're never gonna finish your game, you know, skill issue. You could have approached this a number of different ways. I appreciate the thought that went into this. And I hope you keep following along, or at least you check back in maybe 100 episodes, 200 episodes, see where we're at. Yeah. Fusionist, you're a bit late to the chat, so maybe you'll leave it for a Discord chat some other time. No, we can keep talking about it. I'm just probably going to transition. We're going to hit ads. I'm probably going to transition to working on the game. But we can keep talking about it. I just wanted that to be like a separate segment. I think I've made all the points that I wanted to make for that purpose. But yeah, I'm happy to keep talking about it. Because yeah, you came in late, and I'm sure you have thoughts. Nix, to you, that's how the comment sounds. Nix, you're overheating. You're... I think you're hot-headed, like literally hot-headed right now, so... Cool. All right, we just hit ads. I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to do some game dev. I'll be right back. See? I'm creating a break for the editor of the YouTube video that I'm not making. All right, we're back. Thanks for hanging out. Oops. There we go. How's it going, Fusionist? What have you been up to? All right, I realized that I might need to make some updates to this tile set. Just a few more changes. The last thing we need to do to... So I'm just going to show. It's probably better to show rather than tell. You been good? PC should be built tomorrow. Ooh, that's exciting. Careful, something always goes wrong. The memory's not stable in that configuration or whatever. There's always something. Fusion is very happy with how you handled it. Almost all marked down on worthwhile parts. And 100 Canadian dollar 1070 Ti. Ooh, that's a nice budget. That's a really nice budget build you got there. Yeah, I'm constantly on the fence. I'm looking at making some budget builds. And I was going to wait until the holidays, but I'm like, oh man, everyone has their like pre-tariff inventory right now. Like we stockpiled on inventory in anticipation on the tariffs, and they haven't happened yet, but if they do happen and then inventory goes down, it's like, do I want to wait till the end of year? Do I do it now because they have too much inventory and now they're trying to like offload the inventory? 100 CAD for a 1070 Ti sounds awesome. Yeah, it does sound awesome. But yeah, I'm kind of on that fence about, do I want to do an AM5 build or an AM4 build? Because like you can get some really cheap AM4 stuff right now, but the memory speed is so low compared to AM5, like the frequency, that I'm like, I just want to just go a little bit up, because even already like AM5 is already, you know, kind of old. So last time I looked, I was like, I'll probably spring for an AM5. But then if you go AM5 now, you're like, oh, now I want a nicer graphics card to justify that, rather than if you're going AM4, you can just kind of put anything in there. It'll probably be fine. Fusionist, right? If you could have, you would do a passive budget build where you look at stuff over the span of a few months. That's the best way to do it. I don't do it that way either. Just casually check stores each week for parts until you get them all. I can't do that. I have to do it all at once. I would lose it. All right, so there's one key problem. Yeah, I also have a friend who's very good about upgrading their PC, where they'll be swapping parts out all the time. They'll like they'll make a budget PC and then they'll slowly upgrade it over time. Like I can't do that. I buy everything new. Not new as in like cutting edge, but new as in like not used. And I get it insured because obviously something's gonna break. Like I get everything under warranty, insured with like a repair service or something. Like I can't do all that stuff. There's a bug here with that. I don't understand what's going on with some of that right there. But so here's the key issue that I'm noticing. There's a couple of minor bugs, but I'm going to work on those tonight, I think. The thing that bothers me is this. You can kind of see these straight lines. Let me try to point. You can see these straight lines here cutting through, and that's because the tile set isn't built to handle these half blocks. So if you want to draw the outline goes through the half block. So I've updated the tile atlas to be able to handle that, and we just need to configure it to work correctly. Micro Center often has really good bundles. Yeah, Micro Center is great for that. Yeah, I have a friend who like asks me, who like reaches out whenever they're going to Micro Center. They're like, I'm going to Micro Center, guys. Anyone need anything? And it's like, don't tempt me. All right, so what we need to do right now... So I just had a thought, which is like, I just redid these atlases. I just... oh, you can't see anything with that. I just expanded it to include all of these, like, half cuts here for the half blocks. It's really dumb. It's very inefficient. But I'm gonna have to redo the whole tile atlas thing anyway, as soon as we can support more than just a cube. So this is really stupid. The thing that I'm not sure about is I think I also need to duplicate this section, but I don't know if that's true. I might need to do that just for the sake of simplicity, and I think I'm gonna do that now. Next, you think those extra lines drawn look cool? They look cool, but they're not consistent. We can't leave them. I actually don't know if we need to do this. I think we do, though, but I think we can leave them all the same for now. I'm just thinking about the way the auto tiler works. I think we just need to duplicate. And by duplicate, I mean quadruplicate them for now. Just because of the way it's going to index into this tile atlas. Fusionist, you headed out to get monitors before realizing 30 minutes into your walk that the store was closed on Canada Day. Oh, no. Got some exercise in. Not very Canadian of you to go try to do commerce on such a holy day as Canada Day. On a high holiday. What did I just do? Yeah, I'm just going to do this for now, and then we'll see if we need it. It's easier to just do this and not worry about it. Oh yeah, we were going to add something to our... We had an idea of something to add to our task list here. We were going to do like a... We're going to do like an editor input replay system or something like. We need to add an editor input history. That's part of undo redo. I guess that's part of the undo redo too. We should probably say like editor, maybe like block editor time lapse. I guess we don't need to have a time lapse because we could just record that and then time lapse it in the when we capture the video. So what do I actually want to do? Block editor history. Save load block sets, undo read. I don't think I'm going to make a task out of this. This is more of like a context for save load and undo redo. Because we have to implement a history for both of these. So maybe it should be its own task. So we can't do either of those without this. Fusionist, there aren't many French Canadians who care that much about it. Rhiannon Journey, what did Canadians do on Canada Day? Where you grew up in the US, everyone just got drunk, shot off fireworks, and was a bit of an ass. That's funny. You're talking about Canadians? Or are you just saying that's what we do on, like, the 4th of July? Today's also moving day for many? What do you mean moving day? Oh, it's July 1st. I mean, it's the first of the month, so you just mean people moving because it's like the first of a new month? Or is there something I don't know? Okay, you were talking about what we do on the 4th of July. I was about to say, I was like, what you're describing doesn't sound very Canadian. All right, we're going to put the block editor history at the top of this list. So yeah, we'll do the history. Then we'll do save and load and undo redo. All right, this should all be good. Just making sure. The masks are kind of hard. The selection mask is kind of weird. All right, let's just export all of these. Sort of the agreed day for leases to renew. Huh. So on this day specifically, a lot of people move places. You have furniture on the sidewalk every few doors, a bunch of people carrying their boxes. Yours also renewed today. Rent went up. Yay. Yeah, yay. Well, that's interesting. I mean, that's way better than having to, than specifically saying, January 1st or something. But July 1st is kind of like an agreed upon lease term day. I guess it makes it a lot easier for everyone if everyone's leases end on one day and start on a specific day. We do it very piecemeal here. There's not I mean, it's usually the 1st, but of a month, but it's not a specific month. I think there's some advantages to what you're describing. I say that I haven't moved in 15 years, 14 years, which is a problem. I actually just finished getting rid of a lot of junk that I've accumulated over the last decade. I got rid of so many books. I sold hundreds of pounds of books that I've been accumulating. Because I would not be able to move if I had to move. I think I'm in better shape now, but I would really struggle if I had to move. You'd think that, in your opinion, it's more chaotic than anything else? Yeah, I bet. I bet it's really hard to rent a van on that week. Since suddenly every single applicant pool is twice as large and whatnot. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. All right. Okay, so I think we just did it. Now we just need to set these up. I'm glad we had an interesting first hour for the stream, because this is about to become very uninteresting. So yeah, if there's anything anyone wants to talk about, I'm about to just be modifying tile sets for the next 15 minutes. -8, 10. Now we gotta make a ton of alternative tiles. Oh my god. 8, 10. At least we can do this all at once. Yeah. I don't love the way the alternative tile thing just forms a single column. I feel like they didn't intend people to like make a significant number of alternative tiles. We have admittedly a lot of duplicate tiles that we don't need. Like most of these are duplicates, but I don't want to make, we need a better lookup dictionary for like what tiles are what and everything. So we don't have as many duplicates, but that's part of the tool that we're going to build. We're going to build an auto tiling or an tile atlas building tool. Yeah, I cannot. Rhiannon Journey, are there like pop-up moving services of people who have full-time jobs otherwise but become movers on moving day? Probably, definitely, actually. Yeah, it sounds like man with a van kind of stuff. Like a man with a van. That's all you need. You've had someone like that help you out once or twice before. If you happen to own a van, you're de facto a pop-up moving business. Yeah, the only question is, do you do it for free? Okay, redoing this isn't as bad as I thought it would be, because everything gets exactly the same tile origin and everything. Nix, you hate how hard it is to remember places. Yesterday you spent a couple of hours searching through your own digital footprint trying to figure out where you saw this one map. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I could see that being really tricky. You're like, I know I saw this, but I'll never see it ever again. You know, the selection grid probably shouldn't be its own tile set. I understand why I did it that way before. I forgot who it was. I think it might have been Nix, but you had an idea about separating the outlines to be their own, to just be a mask over the tiles. I'm like considering that. I don't think I want to do it, because I think it'll be better when we have the tool in place that just builds the atlas for us if it's all just one piece. Because then it doesn't really matter if there's a bunch of combinatorics there. Like, we're not going to end up with an atlas that's like unreasonably large. Maybe we will. If we do, we can think about doing that, about treating the outlines separately. All right, now where's the grid? Oh my god. That's bulk XY. Okay, here it is. Next, well, you could. Plus, then it's one last thing to keep constantly recalculate. To keep constantly recalculate. Yeah, well, it does need to be constantly recalculated now that we are doing a cutaway in real time, or doing a re-outlining based on the cutaway. Like, it used to be, you would only have an outline around the actual edges of things, and then if you cut into it, you wouldn't re-outline. But now we're outlining after we're cutting away. And in that case, I do see a strong argument for saying the outline is separate, because the underlying texture might not change, but the outline would change. And in those situations, I think it makes sense to have the outline separate, and we may move in that direction. Oh, my mouse is about to die. That's unfortunate. This mouse is pretty good. It's got a sideways scroll bar, which is like, for work, the best thing ever. All right, I'm gonna charge that mouse. Switch to my MX vertical here. Switch to my RSI mouse. Zatom Tagozu. Interesting title, but episode 205, you're late. No, you're perfectly on time. I can show you what we've been doing. Or what we kind of got going on here. Give me a second. Welcome in. How are you doing? All right, so that's all set up there. So Zatom and anyone else who's new, we are working on Digital Iliad, which is like an isometric 3D take on FTL faster than light. That's kind of what we're doing. And so that's our high level, what we're working on. Low level, we're working on an editor tool that lets us build these 3D spaces that end up being auto-tiled by an isometric 2D auto-tiler. So we have like a custom auto-tiler that enables us to render the 3D space of like a ship in 2D. And so that's kind of looks like this. So we can make a big cube. So there's a bunch of floors here. And so I can fill in these empty floors. So we're going to fill it in to make it solid, and then we're going to carve out a bunch of rooms. So now we carve it out to make a bunch of rooms. This is all being auto-tiled for us. We can rotate the camera. Ooh, that doesn't work. Okay, we broke something. We'll keep it. We'll look at that. Ignore that. But yeah, we have this cutaway system so that you can look into these ships. So if I make another room, if I make another compartment, now it knows that there's multiple compartments. So we have this kind of compartmentalized cutaway system that we've been working on. We're tightening up some of the last... Right now we're addressing some of these extra little lines that result from the half-cut walls. And then I think I'm going to have to fix the camera next because I don't understand what we were just looking at here. Like, you're not cutting away that way. Oh, I'm not sanitizing. Or I'm not making... There's something I'm not making camera relative. There's something that's being stuck, that's being left in absolute camera or absolute coordinates and not being made camera relative, or vice versa. There's some conversion that's not happening, so I have to look into that. Interesting. So a level editor to make your game. Yeah, to help make it, exactly. Yeah, that's what we're working. This all runs in-game, so this is real time. So we'll be able to build ships in the game while it's running. So it's not just a tool for me. We're also trying to build this game in a way that's very friendly to like modders. We want to make sure that all of the tools that we use to build the game content works well and is available to like the end user so that they can make additional content, because I'm a solo dev, so I'm the only person working on this. So, you know, there's only going to be so much content we can make. So we're trying to take a very systematic approach to the development. All right, so now we need to teach the auto tiler about these additional points, about these additional pieces of the tile atlas so that we can get rid of these overdrawn lines on the side there. So the way we're going to do this is up here. Oh, we're going to need to teach this one about it as well. Actually, what happens if I try to select stuff at the edge there? I want to answer one question real quick here I have. So if I do this... If I do this, and then I try to select that part, what does that look like? Yeah, that's not working correctly. It's working semi correctly, as I would put that. Okay, so we need to do a pass on that too. So we have a selection grid, so you can see what you're grabbing. You can like copy and paste areas that you've selected. You can't drag and move. I still need to decide how I want to deal with this. I guess it doesn't really matter. There's some weird overlapping things I don't like, but I don't think it's going to really matter because I think this camera mode is going to be for when you're playing the game. And I think when you're building, I'm going to set it up so that you only get the what I call the exterior cutaway, which is this cutaway. This one. So this one is not compartment based. This one is just a raw cutaway based on the mouse coordinate. So it's not like aware of where the rooms are. I think this will be the cutaway system used when you're building so that you can see more easily. And then when you're playing the game, it will use the compartment cutaway because you don't need it to work like this. And this way they can at least work a little different and be a little better for the specific use case. Let me fill this in here. There we go. Yeah, so this would be the way it would look when it would just follow you around. I think it'll be easier to lay stuff out and know what you're doing. All right, so we need to do, so bulk X, bulk Y. What we need to do is we need to say, so we have if half bulk cutaways contains key.xyz. So what we can then say is, easiest thing to do is just do this. If half bulk cutaways dot contains key.xyz plus vector 3i dot y. Say, oh, I need a what we do in that case. If we do, then we say atlas chords equals atlas chords with y equals atlas chords dot y plus 4. Or no, it's I remember. It's minus vector 3i dot y. We'll say atlas chords equals atlas chords with y. All right, hold on a second. What did I even do? How did I set this up? I want it to be like... So cutaway here. So that's for, this is X. So for minus Y, it's plus 4. And for positive Y, it's plus 8. Or wait. This is the X face. Yeah. So minus Y is plus 4. Plus Y is plus 8. Okay. Oh, and it's not Y, it's X plus 4. And X plus 8. Now we can just borrow this for the other side. We just flip the axes. All right, let's see what that gives us. No extra line here anymore. I realized I was muted. But we fixed the one thing. We fixed the thing we were trying to fix. So that's good. There's still some other weird stuff I saw. What did we do to break the camera? Oh yeah, what's that? So if we do this... Okay, so if we do that, we break something here. Why? See how that's one side of the outline hikes up? We do this. Why would you do that? That's weird. That's a weird one. I think we're gonna make it illegal to drag walls out like that, so I don't know if I really care about fixing that. But I should try to understand why that's happening. Yeah, look at this. Very weird. There's something weird going on there. Congrats, says Nix. Thanks. And then Nick says, you can't say congratulations without rat. You never thought about this before. It's almost Conga rat. Deep thoughts with Nix. All right, what's the spooky action? So we've got spooky action at a distance here, which I don't love. So it's like, it's one thing, I get it if we put a block next to a block and it causes something to happen, but this is causing something to happen way over here. It's really subtle, but it's causing this hike up. I clearly messed something up here. All right, let's try to understand that. I could have conceivably set up the atlas wrong. I did it very hastily. I'm not sure how you can get that kind of distant action here. I don't understand what's causing that. I'll probably look at that later. What we should probably do is try to figure out why the camera got broken. That would be something happening here. Actually, that would be something happening way up here, wouldn't it? We didn't touch any code there. I bet I know where this is. This is probably happening in here. In the interior cutaway blocks by cursored room. There's probably something in here that's not totally safe. So we have block contains. So we get the cursor chords into absolute chords. Cursored room is blocks.getAbsolute cursored chords.rooms. Okay, so we have a get absolute, which is good. That's a new function for us. We should also have a get absolute chords. Or get chords absolute. Cursor bounds.resize blocks.aabb.view relative rooms.span room. This seems quite weird. So we resize it based on the relative set of that room. This is probably approximately where the issue is setting up the axis aligned bounding boxes that control the cutaway. Some aspect of this is probably not correctly observing the camera rotation. Cursored bounds is already in relative space, in theory. This blocks.aabb.maximum with z equals cursor chord. This also needs to be relative, right? Yeah, this needs to be in relative space. That's probably where the problem is. So we need to say let's at least validate that that's what's happening. And then if it is, we can can write a helper function for this. This is dumb that I have to write it out this way. Oh, and it's not view absolute, it's view relative. All right, I think that's the problem. So these coordinates would not be... So these coordinates here are relative, so they need to be absolute. So we need to say get absolute. Hold that cutaways dot add block coords. Yeah, okay. And then when we're doing the actual... All right, I have a separate, not a separate question, but I have a secondary question here that I'm gonna wait until we've answered it. All right, let's see what we got. There's a weird little issue there too that I wanna figure this out. What's going on here? I'm messing up one of the outlines. Wherever the cursor is, it's messing up the outline. Very strange. All right, so we're going to do this. I'm going to put a line through this just so it's like very clear when we're flipping it. So we're going to try to rotate the camera. Ooh, now it's even more broken. Oh, and then it crashed. All right, where'd it crash? It's trying to compare an AABB where the minimum is... or the maximum is probably less than the minimum. Yep. All right, let's see what's going on here. Cursor coords 29, 29, 4. Okay. Cursor bounds 26, 19, 4. 33, 31, 4. Okay. Cursor bounds was resized to this. And then extended bounds. So how did we get from 26, 19, 4? Oh, because we're stepping through Z, right? No, this is supposed to have the same Z. Blocks.aabb.view relative. Cursor bounds 26, 19, 4. 33, 31, 4. 29, 29, 4. Extended bound 26, 19, 3 to 0, 0, 3. Huh. So for Z, so we got through this erroneously. So we're setting up the extended bounds incorrectly. Maybe I was wrong about how I want to do that. And we get to here with Z, which is why the extended bounds became 2619 or 2619.3 by 003. Extended bounds dot minimum minus vector 3i dot 1. Cursor bounds dot minimum plus vector 3i dot xy. Blocks dot aabb dot view relative. Oh, no, I am wrong. I'm not thinking about this correctly. So this room is in absolute coordinates. This may be part of the problem. This like axis aligned bounding box that we get is in absolute coordinates. So we set all of this up, and then what we need to do is maybe we need to just rotate this bounds once we've set it up. Oh, I see. We're trying to get it into relative coordinates here. Box.a.bb.view relative rooms.span room. So this is where we set up all the AABB stuff. I'm going to put a breakpoint here. Actually, I'm going to put a breakpoint here. Try this one more time here. Just want to see if I understand the logic of what's occurred here. Okay, so we get our cursor chords of 42, 41, 4. That ends up giving us a... And cursor chords are in relative space because they're camera relative. That gives us a cursor bound of 28, 31, 4 by 44, 42, 4. That looks correct. I kind of want to look at the buffer read only here. Span. 28, 31, 4, 44, 42, 4. 0. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, wait. No, I don't like that at all. How was this never set? Okay, well, we have possibly an issue there. So we've got 28, 31, 4 by 44, 42, 4. 28, 31, 3, 44, 42, 3. 28, 31, 2, 44, 42, 2. So this is absolute. And we're ending up with a bounds that is 28, 31, 4 and 44, 42, 4. So this isn't changing. And that is a problem. So we're ending up with this, even though we're attempting, you know, maybe we should just build the bounding box and then rotate it. Probably be the way to do this. So that's definitely the source of the problem. So we can't handle camera rotation here. So what if we do this the other way? So what if we just say rooms span room, and then we say cursor bounds equals cursor bounds dot view relative, or no, we would need to say blocks dot AABB dot view relative cursor bounds. And then let's do one other thing, because I think the fill system has a bug. So when we set room bounds, for I equals 0, I is less than bounds dot span dot length, bounds dot span I equals new AABB for each vector 3i chords and blocks dot AABB. If not rooms dot has any. Hold on a second. I think we're assigning rooms the wrong way. I think we're having an off by one issue here when we're doing this. So I have a partition count. What we need is maybe a partition index. So when we do the interior flood fill, exterior flood fill. Get rid of this compartment hierarchy thing. Actually, maybe not. I kind of like the idea of having a compartment hierarchy of like, here are all the compartments that touch this compartment. I think that could be really good for like propagation of like fire or like atmosphere stuff. So I'm gonna keep it. This one is directed, so it's like in a particular direction. But I think it would be interesting to do it just in a way that just kind of bleeds out in every direction. All right, so where the heck is the actual interior? Here it is. So rooms equals room. Room is block.rooms.set room. So room is, this needs to be different. This needs to be like room index. Which is different than the number. So like that would allow a room index of 0. Which is different than a value of 0. So room index of 0 means that the first bit is set. Next, the one thing you definitely do not like in KeyPass, a password manager, is how when you set up a 2,000 character long password, you can still tell the app to type said password in, as you can't cancel it, and it prints like 5 characters a second. And with a 2048 character long password, every single custom character, it just takes so long. That is insane. I don't know why you would have such a long password. But that's crazy. Okay, yeah, so we need to change how this works. So the easiest way to change this is to just pass in partition count -1. Problem is, do we use this for anything? We probably use this down here. So room buffer comp equals game.world blah blah blah. So count is compartmentalized settled blocks. Room buffer count dot length is count +1. No. just going to say count. Nix, in short, you hate it when websites say they do not have a password limit, so you like to test them. Okay. You made a very basic password generator back in the day, which lets you generate pretty strong passwords. It can even do Unicode characters, but yeah, you just like to use long passwords. It's fair. That's fair. Everyone has their own weird password generating system. Whether it's, you know, automated or not, or it's just like a little mental model. But yeah, you seem to be firmly in the F around and find out territory of of password management. All right, so will this work now? So for each room in cursored rooms, box.abs, get absolute cursor cohorts dot rooms. So when we are iterating over a bit field 64, when we're enumerating, has I equals return I. Okay, okay. We iterate over the indexes. Okay, okay. Yeah, this was very much an off by one error that I think I have mostly resolved. Or I mean, I haven't fixed the whole absolute thing, but I fixed this off by one error. Your character is less than 256. If your password is less than 256 characters, you feel kind of icky. Which, if you're being honest, is crazy. And when you use that long of a password. Yeah, I mean, I guess historically you'd be in pretty good shape, but you know, if anyone with a quantum computer wants to hack you, they're gonna do it. Yeah, I think there's a reasonable level of data security for an individual person, and this might exceed that. Okay, so we hit this. So we've got, oh my god, Pheasant SC2 with the tier 1. You've subscribed for 10 months. Thank you so much. Should your password not be your birthday then? No, it should be the same password as your luggage. It should be your luggage combination. It's the only password you need. Just hit him with a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. More specifically, next, you just don't like it when websites claim to not have a limit, and then they have like a limit. They have like a fundamental limit. Yeah. Where it's like word size or something. Yeah, like 64 characters or something. Yeah. I could see that. I can see that being annoying. All right. We're going to be wrapping up here soon. We're hitting pre-rolls here. And I've got a meeting soon. But this has been fun. This has been really fun. Let me see what's going on here. So we got cursor chords 3636.4. That yields a cursored bounds of 3032.4 by 4745.4. Let me look at this buffer that we've got here. Buffer span is 3032.4 by 4745.4. Okay, so we're still getting cursored bounds only in absolute coordinates, which makes me think I just have an issue with the the AABB view relative function. I think it is not doing what I expect it to do. Oh, wait, no, it wouldn't do anything right now because we haven't rotated the camera yet. I'll probably need to use a debugger rather than a breakpoint or a debug log to check that. But we fixed the issue with the rooms, which is good. I want to see what's in this cursored rooms object. Just integer 0. That's correct, actually. Because that would yield a z index of 4. Would have a... In this case, a z index of 4 would have a room index of 0. So hopefully that part is correct. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I gotta wrap it up. I'll do some more of this debugging tonight. I've got some time to work. I've got a little co-working event tonight, a little virtual co-working event with some Godot, with my local Godot meetup. So I'll work on this for a few hours, hopefully, sort out some of these issues, and we can work on something more interesting tomorrow. That's always the hope, but then I'm sure I'll show up tomorrow and I'll be like, guys, I was so tired. I did an hour of work. Here's what we need to work on today. But we'll see. We'll see. It's important not to have bleak expectations. Yeah, this has been fun. I really enjoyed the first half of the stream where we discussed all the things we are doing, could be doing, should be doing around content creation and project planning and stuff. It's a nice stream. Yeah, thanks, Nix. I appreciate that. We did not hit our goal of 3 hours, but that's my fault. I started late and I'm ending early. We're only doing 2 hours. So I'll try to do better tomorrow. I'll try to come with some meaty tasks for us to dig into over a few hours. Yeah, I appreciate you all hanging out. I appreciate the input, the engagement, or just being here, just lurking. Yeah, I don't have much of an outro today. I guess I'll just say thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you next time. Thanks again for the sub, Pheasant AC2. Can't believe it's been 10 months. Bye.